Let me give you 2 seconds about who I am. For those of you who've only heard the media version, don't know actually the reason that I do believe I'm the best person to serve in Pennsylvania. A little bit about the race itself, because you're all in politics and probably curious about that and why we're going to win. And then I'll take some questions from everybody. My father was born on a dirt floor. And at the time, growing up in a little farm community in Turkey, the only way out was to get educated. So he went on scholarship to school. And interestingly, because he was going to school in the Second World War, he was blessed with maybe the best medical education ever, because all the Jewish physicians were being chased out of Europe by the Nazis and were teaching him. America was so smart, our leadership, that we knew where the top doctors were. He was recruited, plucked out of Istanbul and brought to this country. And when he landed on our shores, he couldn't believe America existed. And he witnessed the American dream. And he made sure I would too. And it was a very simple proposition that I touched on in that video very briefly. You work your tail off, you serve other Americans, you make America a better place, and you get to be an American. I don't know how many of you feel this. I'm going to ask for a show of hands. That sometimes that image of the American dream really being available seems a bit tarnished. Do you ever hear that from people around you? Okay. And I hear it all. Let me see your hands. Put them. Yeah, just about everybody. And that, yeah, and for our kids especially, there's a lot of folks who feel it's cool to talk about the country being so irredeemably stained, it all just be broken down. And maybe you can rebuild it better. And the audacity to think that's the right path forward, and the popularity of that belief system is what has galvanized the radical left side of the Republican Party. The problem in Pennsylvania is very clear. It's a perfectly purple state. So you've got all the folks on the red side that are pretty clear what our family values are, that there's an importance of education fundamentally focused on true facts, not manufactured realities, and an importance of faith in that process. And allowing that to prosper is desired by about half the population. The other half of the population has been hijacked, almost as a reaction to that, going further to the left than they really want to be. That's what happened to Joe Biden, who's from Pennsylvania. You know, I don't believe most of the conservative Democrats in Pennsylvania actually believe the radical left narrative. I can point to the fact that NRA membership is higher with Democrats than Republicans in Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of people. If you go up to Scranton, the most important thing is their Catholic church. And they are identified by which diocese they hang with. You know, and there's plenty of places in Pittsburgh, which is a Midwestern city, where folks identify as being conservative Democrats who care a lot about the things Democrats used to care about, classic liberalism, but they've sort of gotten lost now and left behind. We, as a party, have to identify what makes us unique. And I'll give you a hypothesis of what makes us unique to me. When my dad had to pick a party, again, he's an immigrant. He didn't know Democrats from Republicans. I asked him, it was a Humphrey-Nixon election. I was in 3rd grade. I said, which party are we going to be? And he said, we're going to be Republicans. And I said, why? And he said, because Republicans have better ideas. That's why we'll win in Pennsylvania. And I'll walk you through a couple examples. We have the highest murder rate ever in Philadelphia, right? And my opponent has been saying we want to release 1/3 of all criminals. He's lobbied successfully for dozens of convicted murderers sentenced to life in prison to be released. He's argued over the objections of other members of the pro board, like the current governor's candidate for this. I mean, cases, if I describe them to you, they're heinous. He's hired a couple of these folks. And he doesn't seem to have any problem with feeling worse for the criminals than the actual innocent, because he's done this many times over the wishes of the families. And these positions have now, that we've been able to talk about them more publicly, have gotten into a lot of trouble because those aren't the values of Pennsylvania. Yesterday, I went down to Kensington. You ever see the movie Rocky, when Rocky's running through the streets? That's a lower middle class, exactly. You can run up those stairs a couple times. That's a lower middle class area in Philadelphia. I went to med school and business school in Philly. It's I lived in the middle of Philadelphia. I was in West Philly. I could walk to school. You can't do that anymore in Philadelphia. Kensington is the largest open-air drug market in the country. Think about that. There are people with needles sticking out of their necks, passed out on the side of the street. Yesterday, when we went down there, we were doing a bunch of outreach efforts. We had a bunch of African Americans talking about the murder rate, but the lawlessness extends to the homelessness and drug addiction that's rampant and no one stops it. And we were approached by 4 people while I was doing the press gaggle asking for help. 4 addicts. One of them had died last week, was resuscitated with Narcan, and she realized she's at the end of her rope. So we took them to detox. Now, Republicans don't usually go down there, which is not shocking, I guess. I think we should go down there because it's the humanitarian right thing to do. But more importantly, Democrats don't go down there because they're ashamed of what their policies have led to. So when John Fetterman says legalize all drugs, we want heroin injection sites. And by the way, open the border. It doesn't matter if fentanyl pours across and profits pour down south of the border to the cartels. We don't want to make a big deal because, we don't want to be mean. Democrats care about caring. And Mercedes, to the point of mixing it up, is Mercedes a flight risk? Did she leave already? No. Oh, okay. Mixing it up, yeah. I care about fixing. So if you want to care about caring, God bless you, do that. But if I'm walking out of the OR, I said, God, I really loved your mom. She was a wonderful, past tense, wonderful person. I would have loved to have gotten to know her better. It didn't work out so well. Do you care? What you care is that I fix the problem, that I do my job. I'm not going to the Senate to care about caring. So I went to Kensington because I care about fixing. And there is an openness to America, to a Republican Party that has ideas willing to express. So how do you deal with these problems? I'll give you, a couple concrete examples. The biggest complaint, if you talk to African Americans in Philadelphia, besides the fact they might get shot dead walking down the street and they're afraid to leave their homes and drugs are all over the place, is they can't make money. So if you put an LNG, liquid natural gas facility, offshore Philadelphia, you generate billions of dollars in revenue. You create tens of thousands of well-paying jobs. You have kids who now have a future, maybe in the trades, the unions like that. And this is all an opportunity for us to take back a place that has failed, the largest poor city in America, that's 42% of the vote in Pennsylvania. When you open up natural gas, liquefaction facilities, you also can build pipelines. That makes money for everyone along the way. The facilities are drilling, now can get money back in their pockets again. Everybody prospers. And we make the environment cleaner. If you really care about the environment, you want to have liquid natural gas facilities. Why? Because if we go exporting natural gas from Pennsylvania, and we have enough natural gas for a couple of hundred years in America, it will be the equivalent of electrifying every vehicle in America, every one, plus putting a solar panel on every roof in America, plus doubling wind energy production. All of that every year for 30 years if we could do what I just said. It's not rocket science. And as a physician, I understand the science of it, and I know Green New Deal is a lie, but I suspect the left knows it's a lie too. There's no way to do that without selling ourselves to China. So what I'm proposing is what we should do, and we shouldn't hesitate from being vocal about it. We win elections by telling these stories in ways that make sense to people who get it. You're in a diner in Pennsylvania, the woman serving you coffee knows what I just told you. And they're angry that woke leftists won't let us do it. And if you walk into Philadelphia, the African-American population says they're tired of woke whites making rules, creating a social experiment they pay the price for. And if you talk to the moms, they just want their kids educated. And they don't understand why that can't happen. Now, my opponent happens to be on the wrong side of all these issues. He stands up strongly against the charter school system and the ability of parents to take their money and have it follow their kids to the best place for their children.
Actually, he doesn't stand up. He mostly sits down.
Yeah, he does. You're right. I should have said. But his kids go to private school. And he argues that we have to raise taxes, as he's supported and continually for the middle class, but he's had 67 liens on him for not paying his taxes. So you hear this stuff, and everyone goes, what are you talking about? It's impossible, except I have him on camera talking about it. So it makes pretty good advertising. We're going to beat him because we're going to tell the truth about him, more than he's been able to lie about me. And he can tell all the tales about stuff that people don't care about because they're not kitchen table issues, about my background or this or that. But when it comes down to people voting on November the 8th, they're going to have one basic decision. Is the country headed in the right direction? And Matt, I share your optimism. Now, where's Matt go? There he is. Yeah, because I think that decision is a pretty straight one. 30% of people are going to say we're headed in the right direction. And those people, by the way, if you run into them, take away their driver's licenses and keys. They should not be driving in that condition. But the 70% who are thoughtful about this process, who are unhappy and desperately worried about our nation for reasons we could talk about in the Q&A, they're going to vote for us. We just have to make it safe for them to feel that we know what their issues are, care about their issues, and will address their issues. I'm not going to Washington just to fight. I may have to do that in order to get what we want done. But I want to come to Washington to fix the problems because that's what doctors do. And we heal and we reach across and make things happen that maybe shouldn't have happened normally but should be happening in a country like ours that has a lot more resources, a lot more opportunity than we're giving ourselves credit for. So God bless you all for being here, for supporting this endeavor. I will make you proud. We will win on November the 8th.